So looking at another application, working with fractions and decimals, Maddie Brown needed to start some startup money for her landscape service. She borrowed $13,200 for 30 months, and she paid $2,277 in interest on the loan. What interest did she pay for this loan? So when you're borrowing money over a certain period of time, there is what's called a simple interest formula. And this looks like that's all this is simple interest. So interest can be determined by knowing what the principal is, which is your initial amount, multiplying it by the rate, the annual interest rate, and times the time that you borrowed it. So again, the I is the interest. In this case, it's the interest paid since she's borrowing money. The P is the initial amount borrowed. So the initial amount borrowed. The R typically is the yearly interest rate, so annual interest rate. So that really implies years, yearly. And then the time has to be in years then, the length of time that you're borrowing it. So T is how long are you borrowing it, but it's usually in years. So what we're looking for is the interest rate. So it looks like the thing that we don't know is R. So for me, I would rewrite this problem where the unknown is on the left side. So the principal times the rate times the time is going to equal then this I. So the things we have to pick up on is the principle is pretty clear. The rate we don't know, but the time has to be in years. Notice that they gave us months. So one of the things we have to pick up on that there are 12 months per year. So what I got to do is figure out what fraction of a year is 30 months. Well, for every 12 months, that's going to be a year. So we're kind of grouping the 30 into groups of 12. So that sounds like division. So 12 into 30. How many 12s can we get into 30? So 12 goes into 30. Looks like 2 times, because 2 times 12 would be 24. 24, and then 30 minus 24 would be a remainder of 6. So that's going to be like 2 and 6/12. But 6/12 is like a half. So it's 2.5. Really, a half is better as a decimal in this situation. So 2.5. So 30 months is actually 2.5 years. So what I can do is the unknown factor is going to be the R, and the P and the T are going to be the known. So we know that the amount borrowed was the principal. That's going to be this 13,200. We don't know what the interest rate is, the yearly, and then the time we had to convert to 2.5 years. And then the interest rate is, I'm sorry, the interest earned, if you will, interest paid was given us as the 2,277. So remember, all this multiplication can be manipulated, and we can use a calculator here on this problem. Since it's an application, we already did enough math here on hand. So, it was what, 13,200. If I multiply that by 2.5, those can multiply, that's going to give me 33,000. So what I can do is put the R on the end there. So 33,000 R is going to equal then this 2,277. Now to find R, the coefficient has to turn into a 1. So what I want to do is divide this by 33,000, as long as I divide this over here by 33,000. So to find R, we have this 2,277, and I got divided by the 33,000. That looks right. And this gives us an interest rate of 0.069. Now, usually interest rates are expressed as percents. So remember, to change a decimal to a percent, you have to move the decimal 2 places to the right. So if I move the decimal 2 places to the right, this turns into then 6.9%. So 6.9% would be, oops, we actually have a, let me go ahead and make this big again. So 6.9% is described as the annual interest rate. Because usually when you're borrowing money, it's usually described as an APR, if you will, annual percentage rate. So that's kind of why that 30 months had to be converted over to years, so we could determine that as a yearly interest rate. So again, pay attention how that has to be put into MyLab.